Welcome back. Well, that is what we're focusing on. As you've seen on that welcoming slide, the Electoral Act. In fact, all eyes on the National Assembly and the would-be Electoral Act. To be or not to be? And why not? Well, as you see, Mr. Mike Igini joins us next. He is the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Akwa Ibom State. Good morning. He joins us virtually. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today.
Somebody, good morning. Good morning to Nigerians.
Well, yes, indeed, a lot of focus will always be on the umpire when that time comes, among several other agencies and organizations concerning electoral management. But about this Electoral Act, which many have been waiting to see what becomes of it. Although they've said, I think June, now we hear July, but at some point they say, well, we'll give it to you at some point. So give us your impressions about all of this debate making the rounds about passage of the Electoral Act.
Well, thank you very much. The issue of the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill that has been in the works in the National Assembly is one that is of utmost concern to all stakeholders across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. With the benefit of insights and on account of the very robust engagement that the Commission, particularly the Commission leadership, have been having with the National Assembly in the last few months, particularly the chairman of the Commission who, during the period of the committee sittings, was there on daily basis from morning till the close of work. And the feelings we are getting from the interaction we are also having, we hope and believe that despite the timeline that had earlier been given that had not been met, that sooner than Nigerians may respect, that it will be passed, because it's in the best interests of political class of our country. And in particular, as some of the data I'm going to give to you in the course of this program will reveal, that the National Assembly has been the greatest victim of our inability or failure to reform our electoral process, particularly with respect to the issues of primary election in Nigeria. So, as by way of introduction, I want to say that the need to pass the amendment bill into law, at least before the end of the year, for the purpose of what we call the sanctity of the law, cannot be overemphasized.
Well, before you go to that data, from what you've seen, perhaps the benefit of hindsight, and perhaps if the data also supported as well, do you think that we actually learn from history? In this case, the National Assembly, did they learn from history?
Well, quite frankly, I would say that generally Nigerians as a people, as a nation, the only thing that we learn is that we learn nothing from history at all. And interestingly, history has already been the graveyard for contending opinions. As one who had followed killing, political development in our country, and also now being involved at the gatekeeping exercise, is to me a matter of shock all through this period, that we continue to go through the same negative trajectory, with the result that the poetry of our election, the poetry of political party primaries in our country has now been firmly framed in the rubric of litigations, of politigations, chaos, frustration, and pain. Otherwise, it should have been expected that in a multi-party democracy, which is a system of regulated rivalry, conformity to party rules with respect to how candidates emerge will be a thing that should be taken for granted, because the first primary duty of a political party in a democracy is the presentation of candidates for election. Now, after 1999, when we have been clamoring, as a matter of fact, we even need to clamor because enlightened self-interest dictates that those who are actually the greatest beneficiary of our democracy should do things that will protect and preserve this democracy. But what do you find? And I give you a few statistics here as we go on. Political party primary, this choice of candidate, Joseph Scupita, he made the point a long time ago that, look, that in a democracy, that in the final analysis, the choice of who are elected are basically choices already made by those who have influence and resources, and that the general public will only be limited to the choices already made by other people. In fact, perhaps Robert Nikke, in his work, The Iron Law of Oligarchy, he further went to exploit that, expanded that theory. But here's the point I want to make here. And that is that the failure to reform political party primary process in Nigeria has created a lot of problems since 2003 in particular. This is because by 1999, the experiences we'll be having, terrible one indeed, since 2003, we really have that because we were in a hurry to get the military back to the barracks. So in 2003, we all made proposals to the National Assembly then that they should reform the primary process, given what had been going on. And for every general election, we've been doing that. In 2003, the result of that is that, to tell you the greatest casualty, because some people have read in several places and people have said, oh, the members of National Assembly don't want to do it. I don't agree with that, particularly the current leadership, the current National Assembly, on account of our engagement with the National Assembly, that this is going to be a different thing altogether. But just in case we have any of them who think otherwise, the following statistic will show that members of the National Assembly have been the greatest victim of failure to reform the primary electoral process in Nigeria, as well as other parts of the electoral process that will support, empower INEC to do more than what we are doing now. In 2003, because of the failure to reform the electoral process, those who were elected in 1999 into the National Assembly that had the power to do all of this, they left the primary process to the hands of governors at the state level. Even though in an election that ordinarily, if they are subjected to the electorate of their various constituency or senatorial district, they would have won election. But because of that failure and leaving the entire power in the hands of executive at the state level, what happened? In 2003, a whopping 70% of members of the National Assembly did not return back to the National Assembly. Only 30% returned.
Well,
in
just one moment.
Yeah.
Just one moment, and I know that we have quite a long way to go in this conversation, but just what could INEC have done to mitigate this challenge you're talking about? Because the question that comes to my own mind is, why would the INEC, for instance, attend two primaries of one political party, choosing candidates or a candidate for the same election? So is there anything the INEC could have done to forestall that? Because, I mean, some would just say, isn't that supposed to be whoever is signed off by the National Working Committee of a political party?
Well, all primaries that I have under my watch as a commissioner will only be the primaries signed off by the national executive. But you see, the political parties have a way of sending their information in such a way that you are going to left, immediaries, they take you to the right. But whichever way you look at all that they do, they will end up being in court. And that is why the sanctity of the procedure, the need to reform the process is very key. And that is why the following data I am giving as we go further on this matter is very key. And we're going to address that furthermore. In 2011 and 2007, those who were elected in 2003, there was a clamor. Don't forget that there were matters that have gone to Supreme Court on issue about primaries, how candidates who have won election were just removed for what you call flimsy reasons, not backed by law. What happened? Between 2003 and by 2007, 70% of members of the National Assembly that have the power to reform the process did not return back to the National Assembly. Only 24% came back to the National Assembly. By 2011, between 2007 and 2011, we were again in the electoral trenches, calling on the need to reform the process, because political party members have a right to make a choice. And that most of the people that are not returning now, not necessarily because ordinarily during the election they will not be able to return. But what happened in 2011 when it was not for? 68% of members of the National Assembly who were elected in 2007 did not return back. Only 32% came back. By 2015, again, those who were elected in 2011, 68% or 69% did not return. Only 31% returned back to the National Assembly. And the last electoral election, 2019, again, this is where we have a marginal improvement. Only 56% returned. 44% did not return. Now, by 2023, I can give you a scenario. If we fail to do this amendment now and continue to leave the decision of who becomes what a candidate in an election in the hands of the executive at the state, which ought not to be, because what we are basically saying is non-compliance. The situation is going to be worse for the members of the National Assembly. They are going to be the biggest victim and casualty by 2023. What is the reason? The reason is that whenever you have a first term election on the part of executive and they are going for second term, as was indicated in 2019 after 2015, the likelihood to deny people tickets in their party because it may have impact on their own second term election. What happens? They will normally give them tickets. But now most of the state executive, they are now in their second term. And some of them may also be interested to want to go to the National Assembly. I am the seat of those who are seated there right now. And they have a right to do so. There's no question about that. But
if I could just, these figures, which you say has got to do with the implications for the NAS turnover over time, which you associate with the non-passage of the Electoral Act. But in some of these years, I mean, can we wholly, or to what percent, to what degree can we ascribe this turnover to non-specific non-passage of the electoral bill? Because, I mean, if you look at right from 2003, the electoral bill has not been in compensation every assembly, has it?
It has always been. I now want to explain that to you, which is the question you've asked. First and foremost, I've told you that the first duty of a political party in a democracy is to present candidates for election. Now, and or if you look at the Republican Party, the Democratic Party that you have in America, that was formed in 1828, Democrat, Republican, 1854, you will hear them in America that they have what they call a register of members. Those who were the first people who registered when the party was formed, they have their numbers. Just like those of us who went to the university. My matriculation number when you enter university is given to you. And I still have it in the rest of my life. Today in Nigeria, political parties do not have a credible register of their members. They do not have a credible register of their members. 2 days ago, you heard our chairman, and you heard several of us, that the credibility of any election is predicated on the existence of a credible register of voters. How come since 1999 to date, political parties in Nigeria cannot present to you a credible register of their members when it comes to the issue about party primaries? Section 87 of the Electoral Act stated specifically that you should either go for direct primaries or indirect primaries. As we all know, a direct primary represents the liberal dimension or liberal democracy because it gives opportunity for members of the political party to come and make a choice who should be a candidate in an election. But as we have seen over and again, they will opt for what we call indirect primaries. Now, the indirect primaries, one would have thought that you would rely on your register. But what do you hear? Caucus list, party list, in the place of register. Now, the outcome of that is disputed political party primaries. The current amendment bill, because of the contribution that various stakeholders have made to it, Mr. Chamberlain, and Nigerians, which is the reason why I am confident, we are confident that it will be passed by National Assembly, given the incredible industry that these members of NASA current leadership have put into the current effort, is that Section 87 of the proposed amendments have done considerable work to sanitize the primary process in such a way and manner that in the unlikely event that if you are a member of a political party at the moment and you are unable to go through that process, in addition to other amendments that will also strengthen the commission in terms of the innovation that we are putting in place, you don't need to kill yourself. You can go to any other political party and you will win election insofar you have the support of members of that constituency, you will win election. So being in one party will no longer be an issue in Nigeria at all. That is what is contained in the current amendment. You see, the Yoruba man will say that, that is to say, if it is well with the hunter, it will be well with the hunter's back. If you have this amendment passed, Chamberlain, look at what they have done to Section 9 of the Electoral Act, the proposal that is there, taking into account our amendment. Look at what they have done to Section 36 of the Electoral Act to obviate, to put sanctity over the situation that happened in Kogi State, that is to say, following the commencement of the election and just before the announcement and declaration of the final winner, the candidate dies or the running mate dies. What we need to do is already provided for, unlike what happened in the Kogi period that had to matter to travel to Supreme Court. They have dealt with that. Look at Section 49. That he had only 2 subsections. Section 49 in the proposal that we have submitted and what we have seen now have a total of 14 subsections. 14 subsections detailing out. In fact, says section 49 and some other relevant section of the proposed amendment have dealt with issue about violence. Those who think that they can use violence to win election in Federal Republic of Nigeria. Look, there will be no return to Egypt. Once this thing is passed, we know what is there. They know what is there. Chamberlain,
at section
31.
Just a moment.
87.
I'd like us to stay with that 87 because I recall what played out in Anambra State, that letter that emanated from INEC, and, it got ABGA saying, why interfere that much, or at least why paint, this process with a bad brush? And I recall the conversation was around, well, INEC should stay within its own ambit of the law and allow political parties to their internal workings and present a candidate without INEC interfering. So this new provision, I see that, it allows that all elective positions shall be monitored and endorsed by the commission. Don't you think this might also throw up that conversation about INEC maybe going beyond its bounds and interfering in internal party affairs?
First and foremost, INEC is a creation of law. And may a day never come, when INEC will have to decide a candidate for a political party. It will never happen. But as a creation, as a regulator, you must recognize that by virtue of 3rd Schedule, paragraph 15 of the Constitution of the Fatherland, INEC is a regulator of elections. So, the first task of any regulator is rulemaking in consonance with the powers given to us. Therefore, what we find quite interesting and revolutionary, beyond what we have mentioned in section 87, is that some of those shenanigans that political parties indulge in, you will fix a primary for a particular day, for a particular venue, for a particular time, just a few hours to that time, you move it from there without notice to INEC, without notice to other members of the political parties. The current efforts have taken into account that such exercise, where you fail to comply with giving notice of the venue publicly, you must publish all of these things. It will be a nullity. But as it is, this is the reason why we are urging the National Assembly. In fact, we wish that it had been passed during the first quarter. Because some of the problems we are having in Anambra State, and perhaps if we not get this done before the 2023 election with respect to upcoming elections, is that we have got to a level, Ayo, in this country where political party candidates are not even no longer known before the election. This is a tragedy of our democracy. That we go for elections, after election, we are still determining who is a candidate for election. It is shameful, it is disgraceful to our political elite. Now is the time for us to recognize that we require some level of ethical commitment to make progress in the area of our democracy. Section 87, the way I see it now, if passed, is going to be to the best interest of the political parties, because the crisis that will normally affect election in terms of defining whether a general election will be peaceful, it starts with political party primaries. That is where the rain has been beating us since 2003 in particular.
Right, well, we'll talk about the technology component of some of these when we return in a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Well, during the last elections, everyone, the world was just waiting, collation of results, announcement, and verification of the results. That was an arduous one for lots of people. Harrowing to a lot of journalists to wait on that, wait on INEC for that part. So if this passes, and then you see where they say there shall now be full biometric accreditation of voters with smart card readers, and different technology that INEC will introduce from time to time. Give us a picture. What would you like to see? What will be the implication of that part if it is introduced and passed?
Well, it's going to be very revolutionary because the ballots remain the best expression of the will of the people in a democracy. As a matter of fact, the whole embrace of democracy is essentially because it brings about participation and accountability in the process of human development. And so, the passage of this bill, in line with what we are doing, I mean, you just heard the chairman, our efforts to expand the radius of access of Nigerian people after 25 years. 25 years that have not been done. Today, we have been able to do that, creating 176,846 polling units across the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is status neutral, based on data. If this is not complemented with what we are doing, and of course, with the new IVED, the INEC voter enrollment device, in which case, apart from the current exercise of registration, which we flagged up since yesterday, the online, by 2023, we are now going to do what we call both finger and facial accreditation. For any reason, in the unlikely event, given that the system we are coming up is a more robust, more of a higher value than the previous machine we have, the smart card reader, we are now going to do what we call facial accreditation. For any reason, we are not able to get your finger, confirmed. We can also confirm your face. So nobody can run away from that. Everybody will have to face that machine by 2023 because we want to protect, preserve the sanctity of one person, one vote in a democracy. Not one person, multiple vote, not one person, having access to more than one. So that is ongoing as reflected in the current effort that we are making. But we need other stakeholders because we are playing our own part in this whole exercise. I mean, today in Akwa Ibom State, from the previous 2,979 polling units they have, today they now have 4,353 polling units. And as we have said since yesterday, those of them who are now have embraced online, you look at around the Federal Republic of Nigeria today, you don't see the kind of crowd you used to see before whenever we flag off, CVR, which actually under the current leadership has taken a turn of continuous basis since the 27th of April 2017. But for the pandemic and the issue of our elections after 2019, this would have been ongoing. So first, we want to encourage everybody to continue that process now. By on the 19th, those who are doing the online, you are expected to go to our office to have your biometric taken, as well as the physical, because there are two phases or two options for Nigerians now. We know that our mothers, several Nigerian people who are in the rural area, they don't have laptop, they don't have Android, they have no access to internet. We have also said, look, the traditional approach of coming so that we can have your data and all of that, that is also available as from on the 19th of July. And in any case, we have also created 2,672 centers across 2,673 centers. After the state level, the local government level, we have several of the 4 local government, but we have created additional 2,673 so that as many Nigerians who have not registered, and please to be noted, this exercise is not for a repeat. In any case, this time around, the system we have can easily detect any effort to want to, if I will be denied that process of going to re-register. But so fundamentally, the laws guiding this exercise, Chamberlain, it should be adhered to.
All right, now,
some somebody can go up to as far as 5 years imprisonment if you try to hinder, prevent Nigerians from registering. And if you are underage, of course, even if you go online, you're still going to come to the office for a biometric.
From your experience in the field, speaking about operationalizing some of those policies, this smart card functionality of the smart card readers in some rural or some remote areas, we know that there could be challenges. Even in urban areas, there are challenges too. So how would you recommend we all proceed with this one, such that when those challenges present themselves, they will not be an impediment to the ultimate intention of ensuring that the collation and announcement of results or transmission of results from those areas happen smoothly?
Chamberlain, I think that what I need to remind Nigerians is what happened in Edo State and Ondo States. What happened in Ondo and Edo State? I can tell you here that as a commission following the trajectory of progress and is supported by other stakeholders, sooner than later, Channels Television, NTA, AIT, television station in the country will get to a point using the model of Ondo and Edo State. You can make projection like the CNN. You cannot announce election result now, but you can make projection. And that's what we have done. Now, with respect to the new IVET, the INEC voter enrollment device, it is a system, it's an all-round system that if charged, you can charge it, electricity, it can also use battery, and it will last for a very long time. I'm sure those of you to the embassy banks, you see some of those sophisticated things that they use in the bank, because right now it is 4442. 442. That's what we are doing basically now. But where you cannot hide, Chamberlain, is your face. You may lie, or there could be collusion that issue about fingerprint, but in any case, the things that are contained in that amendment are very, very important. They are very, very important to help drive what we are doing at the moment. So when challenges will come, I can tell you that we have the capacity to do that. Interestingly and commendably, some of the things we are coming up are also designed by our engineers. And kudos. I mean, you know that Nigerians, if given the opportunity, will do very well. The problem we have,
and as a matter of fact,
the political elite are responsible for the worrying tendency that is putting our democracy at risk.
We'll follow up on that soon. But much as everyone would love that for the media to be able to make those projections, I think the print colleagues can. I'm not sure which law bars them, but for the broadcast industry, those projections can't be made. Yeah, because the NBC code has got to, we need to maybe amend it to accommodate some of these things. But just as you say, if INEC does this, I don't think the NBC code or the lawmakers will shy away from ensuring that the broadcast medium is not left behind to all of this. So it will be a welcome done, I reckon.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Igini. We all know that at some point in 2015, the president didn't sign the bill into law. I think it was 2019, because according to him, it was too late, too close to the elections. It's 1 year, 7 months, and 23 days before February 23, 2023. When is it too late to change the Electoral Act before the next election?
Ayo, in our well-considered assessment and opinion, if passed today, if passed tomorrow, all well and good. Because the sanctity of the law, that this is the law guiding the process, is very key for the participant, because laws are enablers and also constraint to wrong behavior. But where we are right now, on account of what I have said, when we speak out of conviction of people we have engaged with, that the situation of 2019 is unlikely to happen this time around, because it's in our best interest, in the interest of our democracy, to do so. Because in the final analysis, Ayo, you see, J.F. Kennedy on the 9th of January 1961, he won people who are elected to public office and those who are appointed, that there will be a high court of history that will sit in judgment over all those who have been elected into public office or appointed like us, and that at that sitting will be asked the following question: were you dedicated to the service of your country, where you had the opportunity to be there?
Mr. Igini, right? Mr. Igini, just one moment. So, just one moment. Just a moment. Yes, just a moment. I want us to be. I just want it to be clear. You know that the same National Assembly that you are so very confident that they will do the needful, as we're all expecting, have shifted the goalpost like twice. First, it was supposed to be passed, I think, in December or so, and then it was moved to March, and then to June. Now it's been moved to July. For whatever reason, good intentions of the National Assembly or whatever, there could be a reason to not pass it based on some national interests. Now, where you sit as a major player in INEC, in the electoral process in Nigeria, what time is too late for us to change the Electoral Act? What time is it too late?
Well, I can say, Ayo, to you here, that assume that scenario happening, that even 24 hours with respect to, that's the one that relates to us in our process, 48 hours to election, that some of the things that we are developed that are sustainable, replicable, that they are passed even 48 hours to that election, for us is hallelujah. But where I have concern is with respect to rules, the profound amendment relating to party primary that need to be sanitized. Right now you have another election, you are going to have other off-season election coming. If you don't have, in fact, that of Anambra cannot be, whatever we are having, if passed, can no longer be applicable to Anambra State. That's the area of concern that we have. And the feelers we are getting from National Assembly is that it will be done. You refer to the last year, the previous year, before the 2019 election. Don't also forget that even between and among them, there were issues about change of schedule of election. Oh, suddenly they want the National Assembly to come. There were all kinds of, even there was division among themselves. All of those confusion, were all part of what perhaps led to what happened at that time. But in any case, as a commission, I must assure Nigerians here that in all of this, there are things we will say now. When we get to the bridge, we will say those things to the Nigerian people, that they be assured that under the current leadership of Mahmoud, and thank God some of us will still have the privilege of serving the fatherland, we will stand tall and mighty in defense of this democracy and the rule of law that we fought for, so that we can have a society where there is opportunity for all and responsibility for all through choice making of the kind of leaders that we'll have, by creating the ambience for the Nigerian people to make that choice. But with respect to this bill, on account of sustained engagement by the leadership of the National Assembly, with the National Assembly leadership and its members, particularly committee members, this is going to be a different ballgame.
Okay. Well, there was something you mentioned earlier and about the governor's influence in the primaries, in the party primaries in their various states. Is that in any way indicting the governors on the outcome of the primaries and consequently culpable for the series of litany of litigations as a result of those primaries?
Ayo, you see, we must learn to tell ourselves inconvenient truths. And the unhappy truth, having referred to the poetry of our primary now framed in a rubric of litany of litigations, frustration, and pain, the fact that it's common knowledge that the governors at the state level, they make no determination. In fact, what they are doing, like I said, which is consistent with what scholars have written about before, Joseph Scopita, that who becomes what in any political party is first and foremost decided by those who have influence and power. That's what Joseph Scopita said long time ago. So, today, who becomes a candidate, a councillor, is determined by a governor. Who becomes a council chairman is determined by a governor and a few people around who are very influential. This is the unhappy truth. All right? Who becomes a member of the House of Assembly is a governor. As a matter of fact, the situation has even changed under the current dispensation. Before now, even governors, apart from choosing councillor candidate, choosing sitters of assembly, choosing the members of National Assembly, they also determine for a president who should become a minister. That used to be what happened before. They want to determine to be a minister from the state and all that. Today, Ayo, do I need to be talking about indictment where you know that today in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, local government system is gone? It's gone because independent-minded people are not allowed to aspire to be candidate of political party. So when you get in there, with the joint state local government account, they give you what they give to you after you have no job before. Who are you to challenge the use of that money? Two, members of National State House of Assembly in this country today, the unhappy truth in our democracy is that it's only the National Assembly that we speak about, that have shown independence, that we are seeing, engagement with the executive. At the state level, the State House of Assembly are under the total control of the governors. That's the truth of the matter. We all know this. That is the inconvenient truth. And for us to make progress, we must move away from this unsavory path, because that's why the State House of Assembly, when the National Assembly tried to give them autonomy, they voted against their own independence. The people voting against their own independence, how best do you know what's going on? So really, this is where we are as a people. So the democracy we are talking about that from 1999, really, we were looking forward to getting to the point of what we call democratic consolidation. Because when you get to a point of democratic consolidation, it reduces electoral volatility, which is characterizing our environment at the moment, and reduces the number of people in participation. You don't need to even follow the law, even the registered political party, as we have done legally, constitutionally. Because if at the local government system, the political parties we have today, as many, 18 of them that we have today, and in a truly conducted local government system, the type that INEC conducted in 1999, that the various political parties won across the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is not unlikely that, for example, a state that have 20 local government or 30 local government, that one party, no matter how small, could win a local government, could win 2 local government. Once they win 2 local government and all of that, it means that you cannot take their money other than the money of the ruling party of that state, controlled by that particular political party. Once that happened, Ayo, the implication, local government system will be run differently. So if a party, a small party today, out of 20 local government, it has won 3 local government, it will run that differently, all right? And by the next local government election, other people want to vote for that particular political party. But today, democracy is dead. Is dead at the level of local government system in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And we see, Mr. Igini, we see the work being done to try to revive that dead democracy you referenced. But I imagine that as the National Assembly is working with INEC and other bodies to, get this Electoral Act Amendment Bill at least to come to fruition, I imagine that the political actors, the governors you referenced, are also amending their own rules of engagement and the ways and manner in which they conduct these things. I mean, they want to also stay ahead of whatever it is the Commission and other agencies are planning to ensure that we have a better process. So the question will be, you've mentioned some of these challenges. Does this amendment provide enough deterrence? Because like I said, you've referenced people that have influence and power, and basically that means money, resources. So if you say that this direct and indirect primary has to be monitored properly, they can go to start, giving financial incentives, vote buying and the rest. So do we have enough deterrence to ensure that whichever way they go, whichever way it swings, you're always ahead of them?
Look, I tell you, see, when I speak with the level of excitement, over this current, what is in the National Assembly in the works, is based on what I have seen. That if passed, we are going to make tremendous progress in our electoral system in the country. Because the current effort is not only addressing the behavior of the political class, supporters, it's also addressed INEC, the umpire. If INEC staff, whether ad hoc, for any reason, decide to announce results other than the expression of the will of the people in a democracy, some of the sanctions that are contained in the current effort are those that you don't even have the option of fine. You could go as long as 5 years J10, 7 years. I've seen some of those provisions. And
as we wind down on this, give us your impression about
of the law.
Give us your impression as we wind down on this segment. What do you think about independent candidacy with respect to logistics of INEC and such matters?
Chamberlain, the problem we are having today in our system is not about whether we don't have independent candidates. That is not the problem. Because all these other small political parties, apart from the two major political parties, they are basically a platform for independent candidates. And that's why people can just move and all of that. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do candidates emerge? The opacity around that process has to be dealt with. You can see what we have done as a commission. We are making progress. In Edo and Ondo states.
In other democracies, where they've got at least an improved system of where candidates emerge, they still do have independent candidacy.
No, I am not saying that we should not have independent candidacy. I am saying that looking at our problems, the merit of our problems, if you put them, in hierarchy, I am telling you that all those platforms, they are nothing but independent candidate platforms. That is not the problem we are having right now. The problem we are having is the attempt by political class to undermine the integrity of the electoral process. And that's why you see the issue about apathy. People are moving away, not wanting to vote. Look at violence. And again, we must ask ourselves about the neutrality of other key actors. On the part of INEC, we will remain neutral because the key value that undermine that reflect our work must be integrity, impartiality. That will also come from the security system. Because as we are beginning to see, should we have a system where in a state, for instance, even within a party, security should be in the hands of some key actor or member of a political party to be used at their direction against other members of political party? The answer is no. If you cascade further, in a general election, should security be neutral or be seen to be on the side of one group against the other?
All right, then.
Not what should happen. So I want to say that Chamberlain, the effort in the National Assembly, what we have put in there, what the media, and I must commend the media for all your effort, because we must be grateful to the media, because all the triumph will not have happened without the role of the media. That's the only way we can go in order to have a democracy to be proud of.
All right, and thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mike Igini, Resident Electoral Commissioner for Akwa Ibom State. Well, back in a moment. Stay with us.